Yes We Cannibal, we tend to call it now a project space, but we really sort of conceived of it as a kind of experiment in living. Matt and I both grew up in big cities, and spaces that were sort of like Yes We Cannibal, they were really important to us as kids. And when we moved to Baton Rouge, we saw that there really wasn't like a home for experimental cultural production, and we wanted to make that.
We've kind of become a merger of a place for free, in two senses, art, art that is always free to see, and a place for people to feel free to experiment, and a place that tries to be very dedicated to caring for the communities that we're part of.
We have a gallery and performance space, and in the performance space, we host our Sunday salons, which are from 4 to 6 and are always free. So every Sunday, we have some form of experimental production on display here. It could be an author talk, it could be an artist talk, it could be a musical performance, it could be a film. And then it follows the salon format, so there's an opportunity to engage with the presenter.
It's funny, here in Baton Rouge, most people would think of a gallery, as sort of a very fancy building. It's almost kind of a super 1%, place you would visit that's going to feel expensive and fancy. So we try to make that distinction, even though we do sometimes call it a gallery, that's a project space. People can come here and have the opportunity to try something they haven't tried before. Not all artists do that, but certainly we always encourage them and say, why don't you use this as the chance to do something you couldn't do somewhere else?
Aside from our gallery and performance space, which is our main space, we have an outside lot which has a community fridge. So it offers free food to anyone in the neighborhood. It's mutual aid, so there's no requirements for using the fridge. It's anyone who needs it at any time. Then we also have a new food forest that we've just installed. And we were really interested in the distinction between food forest and community garden. Food forest has the same idea that it's food that anyone can take. And we have a full kitchen, which we are hoping to utilize in some upcoming artist projects.
We have this cannibal reading room that we're sitting in right now, which has event posters for the 60, 70 events we've done so far. It has various things that we've made and sell here. It has artifacts from all kinds of different artists that we've worked with and done shows here. We have all kinds of weird naturalist stuff we've collected. We have books on foraging and mushrooms. We have things like this that I wanted to show that I love, which are sort of artifacts of the counterculture. We tend to collect these. So this is a kind of radical newspaper from 1968 that's in perfect shape. It's a free newspaper of rock and roll, dope, and fucking in the streets. We like to collect these things here so that when, we often get 19, 20-year-old kids who come and want to do an event and have great conversations. We say, oh, have you heard about this? And we can hand them these things, and maybe they've never seen them before, and it generates a new way of thinking or a new conversation, and that in turn totally re-energizes us to feel like there's something of real value in what we do here. We do an event called Soul Lab Sundays now with a local DJ named Soul Lab, who's very well known. It's really his event. It's the first Sunday of every month, and he'll bring in sort of 4 MCs and an artist, and then he'll buy food, and he'll spin. And at the end of it, there's a cipher, and people will kind of step up and freestyle. And the first or second event he did, Baton Rouge has this incredible hip hop community with so many amazing MCs, but this kid stepped up who was definitely new at doing it, and following maybe 10 people who had been truly masters of their craft, and everybody smiled and cheered when he was done. And I just felt good. I just felt good seeing this alternative to the kind of like cruelty and cynicism that we all experience online, and seeing people in a physical space together, a meet space, just on the most base level, being kind to each other and supporting each other around art.
Everything that we do is free. Part of the reason for that is the neighborhood that we're in. So we are in a rapidly gentrifying neighborhood with a $1 million development across the street from us. And yet on our side of the block, there's a lot of disinvestment and a lot of need. So we wanted to make sure that all our programming was accessible for the whole community around here. The best ways to support us are by becoming a Patreon member and becoming one of our micro patrons. That is a base of support that helps us keep these events running. It helps us cover our operating costs and the cost of events. And the other way is to become a volunteer. We really need help with the food forest. We need help maintaining our spaces, and the community fridge needs help as well.
And I think the other thing you can do is consider why we're doing this. If nothing else, think about, why in the world would someone want to buck the model, the current model of, kind of staging a mini festival with food trucks and vendors and a $10 door and a couple bands and a cut, and these people get paid. Why is it that we put so much of our time and energy into trying to preserve an alternative to that? Because even just that thought experiment is helpful to the world.